Hello, my cure and her age tribe, right? That's how I'm going to call it. I love tribes. I love tribes because you know that in the tribe, they have your back. A tribe has each other's back, and a tribe is not necessarily so big, but you feel like you belong when you are in a tribe, and that's what I hope I have on social media. I try to keep it, kind of feely. Anyway, so I want to continue today with my journey to queenhood, and I'm in part 3. See, this journey is going to be a very long one because when I look back, I see that it was very interesting. I'm saying was because now I'm already a queen, so I'm really looking at this journey, and I could have as well have written a book about it all, but I've already written 8 books, and my king told me that the storyline is it's kind of similar sometimes, although the diversions are there, but people might already know how everything is going to flow because there's already so much in all of these books. So I think that I would write more of books about God and His goodness and all of those things. And then we are going to write one together. In the meantime, I'm going to be doing a lot of things virtually now, and it's easier, in my opinion, to talk and record than to be writing. I used to love writing a lot, but now I prefer talking, and I still love reading. I just saw a post from a friend of mine, my very good friend Laura. She says that her soul belongs to books, and when she's reading, she's at home. Yeah, I love books too. And I was telling her the other day, I don't even know how I've come to have such a big library. When I was growing up, I would see books and I'm like, how can one person have so many books like that? Okay, so I will continue reading from this bombastic memoir of mine, aptly titled My Unconventional Loves, My Hurts, My Adulteries, My Redemption. Call a spade a spade. My vulnerability is my strength. A mentor of mine told me the other day, sometimes you are too authentic for people's liking. That's me, so I like it because it also challenges me and it helps me see my bigger picture and clean my mess all in one. So I don't want to be anything other than authentic and vulnerable. So I don't know how much I have shared, but I do know that I haven't yet talked about how it got more murky because when you are growing, you are on a journey to somewhere. There are a lot of detours around the road. In the abroad, people use GPS so that they don't get lost. But in my country, I don't know about your country, not everywhere is covered by Google Maps or stuff like that. So you need to have landmarks and stuff. And the problem with these landmarks, mommy puts share this, that, they can change. Rain can, everything. So you can miss your exit because you were thinking that you were going to find a landmark somewhere, or somebody will tell you that because you have to ask a lot. Is it the road to so and so? Yes, go left, go right. So on this journey of queenhood, sometimes I didn't have people on the way to tell me if I was on the right direction. Sometimes I missed the landmarks. Sometimes I was just stubborn. Sometimes I was searching in the wrong neighborhood and all of those things. I remember sharing the last episode, the last journey part 2, how the book was dedicated to all girls and women who, like myself, are struggling to come to terms with themselves. I wrote this book in 2013. So that was actually the beginning of my coming to terms with myself. I started writing it in 2012. I finished in 2012 actually, but I published in 2013. Okay, so I want to read from The Loves Go Out of Bounds. Because after my first boyfriends, like when primary school and secondary school, which were more of like just friendships, but with a little touch of holding hands or smiling one way. But I didn't kiss. No, I kissed one guy in secondary school. Let me not lie. But I didn't go into the doing that people do sometimes in secondary school. So I was still a good girl, although I had already been sexually assaulted once at home and once by this doctor, right, who actually broke my hymen. But anyway, so I looked at my university loves. Did I look at them? But the university loves were just like any curious girl who goes to university and starts getting all of this attention from boys and stuff. I think that sooner than later you're going to be like, well, let me hang around with them too and see what is it that they're actually seeing in me and telling me. I didn't know so much that time that people can just be boys, not people. Because me, I'm a boys person, so a boy will like your body and maybe the way you smile and all of those things, and then just for wanting to have sex with you, they're going to tell you all kinds of good things, even pray with you or go to church with you, and then before you realize it, you have kind of tossed around like 3, 4, 5 of them, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I cannot count, and I'm not of that opinion that if a girl has dated 50 or 20 or 10, then she's not a good girl. I don't even want to count. I don't want to know how many a man has dated before meeting me, frankly speaking. I mean, feel sometimes that when you don't have much experience, then me I already have. So me I also want somebody who has some experience or who can respect the fact that I could have had so many experiences and yet I can still be a very good girl. But if you are going to come and be that super churchy brother who maybe it's the first time you are hanging around and you are going to start always wanting to judge and know why. No. Fortunately, my king is not that way. Anyway, so let's go to the loves go out of bounds. By out of bounds, for those who have gone to secondary school, you know, out of bounds means you go out when you're not supposed to be out. You're not supposed to go out. And sometimes you go out by skipping over the gate. You go out by overstaying your outing. You know, like when they give us permission on some days, national holidays, like what we call 11th February in my country, that is Youth Day. I don't have to justify whether those dates match, but so it's a national holiday and youths are supposed to go and do a march pass. And so when they go to do the march pass, if you are supposed to be back in school by 6 p.m., usually that was the case, you don't come back at 6 p.m. because of course you want to stay out there and see what is there. Now what nonsense is that you are staying in boarding school the whole year and then as soon as you close, your parents come from town and pick you up and take you to the city. Once you get there, you're in the house again locked up because they want you to be a good child. So when do you see what is happening out there? So sometimes it's easier when on those days you don't go back to school on time. After all, they'll punish you. Either they'll give you work to do. Worst case scenario, they'll dismiss you. And if they dismiss you, fine. You go to another school, hopefully a day school. So at least at that time, you are not really staying at home. Those are some crazy experiences we would like as young adults so that we at least have a taste of what life is all about. So that is what going out of bounds means. Either you are going out without permission or you are overstaying the permission that you had. Those two things, yes. Or sometimes even while in school, instead of being in class, you are in the bush doing something with somebody you're not supposed to be doing something with, or you know, stuff like that. So that is how my loves went out of bounds, because they're the regular guys that you can date, the ones who are not married, the ones who dating is not a bad thing, right? So yes, it's okay to date. I'm actually dating right now. So but when you start dating a married man or a priest or a guy who is in the seminary, that is out of bounds love. You know, that is what I consider out of bounds, and that is why I mentioned in this chapel. So after university, I went to live with my mother and help her start a business of hers, a shop, where assorted items and drinks were sold and a lot of noise was made by the people who came and sat there to drink. And that is where it all started, because I remember, I don't even know if I'm going to call that dating or just a one night stand with one or two of those clients. One was from the north, like a northerner, and of course he was married or maybe betrothed, I don't know. But those people are always, especially when you start working and making money, either there's a woman already in the village there for you, or there's already one in the city. But since they don't work together, you cannot know, and they don't wear rings or they wear, I don't know. So, but I just knew that there was something that made that love out of bound. So I worked there for some time, and because the traffic used to be hectic at night time, and I would close so late. I would sometimes spend a night at an auntie's place, or I was working my own small money, so I could check into a hotel so that I can as well decide to go dance or go watch a movie, come back at any time, open my door and sleep, and the next morning I go right back to the shop, something like that. So when you start living that kind of life, it's easy for you to frolic, fool around with someone you met at the club, or someone who came to buy a drink, a good customer. One habit of those people is that when they come to buy, they sometimes want you to hang around with them, or maybe they like you, they just want to fool around with you, frolic. That's my word for sex, frolic with you. So they will buy your own drink, 1 or 2 bottles and stuff like that. So I started spending some nights out and stuff like that. And yes, I was tempted over and over again. And I love that attention, let me not lie. I have been kind of a slim and pretty girl for a while, and even now I still am. So, of course, I was not going to say no, right? I was a big girl. I just finished from the university, so that was maybe 21 years, 21, 22. But it did not last for long, that stint in Douala. I had to, move on, think about my life. I didn't go to university to come and end up in a shop. So I got to Yaoundé. My mom was actually living in Yaoundé, working there. So I went there, lived with her. I started working in some chambers, what we call here, postulate. You want to become a lawyer, you go into a chambers and you hang out, you stay there, and then you learn, and then when they launch the bar exam, you study, and then you write the exams, and then you do now 2 years of pupillage in that chamber, or in any other chambers, and then you take now the final part of the exam. It should have been so straight, but unfortunately for me, the year I graduated from university, that was the last year the exams were launched. The next time it was launched was like 7 years later. So you can imagine the frustration. So many people gave up on their dreams to become a lawyer, because you be hanging around, or you get a job, be making money, and then they'll launch the exam. What are you supposed to do now? Drop all of that, go and write the exam, and if you fail, or you go and write the exam, pass, yes, but how are you going to drop all of that? Because you cannot do the two. According to the bar rules and regulations, you had to choose one. In my case, I dropped the job I had at this mobile telecommunications company. So that was it, but that's too far ahead. While in Yaoundé, Mom and I went for Mass. It was Mother's Day. I can never forget. Mother's Day 2002. Mother's Day 2002. And was it 2002 or 2001? I think 2002. So I met a man, or a young man who was in the seminary. He's actually the one who preached that day. And what he said that moved me and that made me just melt is that he said, if you are with your mother in church today, turn, look at her and tell her you love her. Now, Mom and I are not that expressive of our love. So to have that instruction in a church, to do that, and knowing that everybody else is doing that, and I really have always loved to express myself and my love like that. So it was like, oh my goodness, who inspired this person to say this kind of a thing? So I didn't just look at my mom, I hugged and I said, I love you. We both cried. So after Mass, Mom said, let's greet Father. I did not know. What did I write here? I did not know that the devil was waiting for me outside the church that day. One thing I love writing in this book is, I will write to myself. So what do I say here? So I went for yet another confession, and the devil caught up with me this time around on my way out of church. Or will I say, he was waiting for me right there. And so I call all of these people, I give them names. So this one's own name is my Adam's fruit. My Adam's fruit, as I will call him, was a seminarian at the time. He gave a moving sermon. and we hung out after mass to greet him. And so he invited me to the seminary. Should I not have said no? What are you going to do in a seminary, young girl? It is obvious. It is no. It is a no. Priests are not pastors. They're not supposed to get married, meaning they're not even supposed to date, because when you date, is it not so that with the intention of getting married? So what was this all about? That was already going out of bounds. But me, I'm not afraid. I said to myself, fire will either burn me or will warm me up. So now, even if I was another offspring of King David and Bathsheba, but the flesh was not only weak, this time around it was dismantling. I've been searching for love, searching for love, never knowing that I myself was love, and I had just so much in me. I should have tapped on that, and above all, the love of God. But what did I know, or what did I care to know? Anyway, so I decided to just, give it a try, just have a friendship. And then, maybe this one is going to be better because, well, it's a church person. So because, the devil fills you up with excuses. Nah, this one, nobody will catch you people. You will know how to, and he's not going to treat you wrong. He will not abuse you. He's short better than nothing. All of that. And that was how the biggest out of bound love relationship of my life happened. Now, it did not just end there. One day, I told this guy, I'm done with this relationship. It's leading to nowhere. He was actually on his way to taking their final vow or something. And we had discussed this thing, and I thought that he said he was going to leave the seminary so we could get married. We were really in love with each other. But maybe those were not his exact words. So what happened was that, well, he said he was going to have his final vow. So I was like, okay, good. I'm not going to regret what happened, what we had, but I don't want it anymore. So I don't want to be a mistress. Like, what was I? I don't know. And I remember it was on the 31st of December 2002. I said bye-bye. Bye. Go now. Give my keys and go. Because he had a key to my little studio. So he said, but please, I just want you to accompany me to an event I have been invited to. They call these events Saint Sylvester. Those parties that are held on the 31st of December. So he had been invited to one. And he said, please, I had already said I was coming with you, so I would really want you to come with me. I said, okay, I'll come with you. Mark. That's how I went to. And I drank. And of course, I was horny. And we came back and we made love. And I felt my son coming in. I'm not lying. I felt my son coming in. As soon as my son landed, I was like, I'm pregnant. Get away from me. Look at what has happened. He said, so what are we going to do now? I said, you and who? Get away. Go, leave my house. He said, don't say that, I'm going to be by you. I said, how? So, well, my son is 18 years old today, and that was the biggest out of bound love in my life, and I have my great testimony, and God has restored me. In short, my son is such a blessing and all of that. So my son is a prince, right? I thank God for all of that. So that was not the only out of bounds love. The second one was, why pregnant? That's for men who love to go out with pregnant women. I met a man, I call him Uncle. So Uncle said that he's not afraid of my large stomach, and that he will take care of me, and that when I have this child, I can even give him his name, and that if I wanted to be to get into a polygamous marriage, he was prepared to marry me. And I was like, no, don't get down to that level, Mark. That's okay. So after 6 months of just hanging around Uncle, and Uncle was so kind. Like, there's only one time that Uncle came to my studio. It's all in this book, so there's nothing that I'm saying that is new. So after 6 months, I was like, no, Uncle, I cannot continue doing this. So that was the end of it. So those are the kind of things that make me say I had a murky dating and relationship journey. Murky, like twists and turns. I'm not those kinds who say, I met this guy in church, he was in the choir and he was singing, oh, his voice, and I was an usher, and then our families were friends, and then we ended up getting married, and then we have had 3 children, praise God. No, that's not the kind of testimony I have. So I'm not going to lie about it. And that's why I think that my journey is interesting, and so many people have told me that my journey is interesting because I keep it real and because I say it as it happened. And this is where I am today, actually in a very healthy relationship with a man, kind of man I prayed for 5 years, and I wrote my checklist 7 years ago, and all the things I wrote on that checklist, like already 88% checked. I'm just so grateful to God for that. But for the sake of my channel, I want to share my journey because I want people to know that Mark did not just start from age 0 and then got married and then it didn't work out and then met her king. No, even the fact of getting married and it not working out, it's already something. It's a journey, so let's keep seeing how this journey goes. Maybe we'll have 5 parts, maybe 7 parts, I don't know. And then in the meantime, as I said, I mix it up with where I am now and the kind of beautiful things that are happening and all of that. And I thank God for everything. I might have spoken much longer today than usual, but I really wanted to address this part of my loves go out of bounds because I don't think I'm the only person whose loves have gone out of bounds. And sometimes we get so yoked by guilt and shame and embarrassment, and we don't know what to do with all of those experiences, and if to even own them, to talk about them, to learn from them and all of that. But I do all of those things and I thank God for that. After all, I'm a minister. My ministry is all about love and healing. So the greatest love and healing had to be done in myself, has to still be done in me, in my life, and in all these other areas of the ministry God is giving me, including my relationship with my King. So feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe. And if you want to ever come on to my channel, it's a very small tribe, so some people might not be appealed, might not find it appealing to come and share their stuff because some people will want to go viral with what they share. But I am for the one. If one person listens and takes something out of it, then I'm good to go. So I'm just so grateful, Father, for this opportunity to do this part 3 from my new crib, and I give you all the glory. Until the next time for part 4, God bless us all.